And welcome in, sports fans, to today's Roundtable, the first episode of this season's Sports Roundtable as high school football is underway. It's finally here and got underway with week one. High school football last night here in southeast Missouri and also in Arkansas. Actually, both seasons aligned now. Missouri has always been at least 2 weeks, or at least a week ahead. Going back a couple years back, it was 2 weeks ahead, and they started moving back the schedule a bit for Missouri. So now they aligned both Arkansas and Missouri. Got underway with high school football last night, and quite a bit of action in the area last night. We're going to get to that in just a moment, but glad everyone joined us for the first Sports Roundtable of the season. We'll be going almost every Saturday. There's a few that we won't have each Saturday, but each Saturday at 10 a.m. live here on YHC and also at YHCTV.com and through our Facebook and YouTube pages as well. Each Saturday live at 10 a.m. pretty much all the way through end of May, late May, pretty much right in line with the school year for recap and a look at all of high school sports here in southeast Missouri, northeast Arkansas. So let's go ahead and look into some games from last night. High school football getting underway last night, taking a look at some matchups last night in a game that we had here on our broadcast last night live on YHC. St. Genevieve over Dexter, 49-7. The St. Genevieve Dragons come to town and really put on a show, especially through the air. The Dragons really came to play and made some big plays in that game last night. Dexter unable to get anything going offensively. Their lone touchdown come off a block punt that set them up in great position, which we'll take a look at the highlights in a moment. But St. Genevieve, very well-respected program, and had a little bit of a down year last year. Dexter beat St. Genevieve in district tournament last year in the first round. Pulled off a little upset there in the first round on the road in St. Genevieve. But St. Genevieve reloads this year. Come back with a very good team to start this year and got a victory last night at Charles Blanton Stadium, 49-7. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of those highlights from last night, starting in the first quarter.
Oh, block.
You see here, this is coming off a block punt. This is a block punt by the Bearcats, setting them up inside the 10 on their first offensive
This time
series.
over to Mason Keenan, turns direction, dives in for the touchdown. At least in southeast Missouri. This young defense had a great stand in the first.
To give the Bearcats an early lead. And we see here a nice tackle and a sack in the backfield. But then on a 3rd and 14, picking up the long first down, Logan Gegg looking downfield, getting the first down, extending the series for the Dragons, and now into Bearcat territory, looking for their first score. And a nice run here for the touchdown as Austin Bullock finds the end zone for the Dragons. Here we see Hayden Hillis rolling out, trying to cut up, and good Dragon defense in the backfield for the sack. And here an unfortunate high snap for the Bearcats, trying to get that punt off into the back of the end zone for the safety. And the Dragons getting the ball back off the safety now. A great tackle in the backfield by Van Slyke there for the Bearcats. But St. Gen on a 3rd and 8 comes up a bit short on that one, but they do extend the drive after a first down. And here Logan Gegg with a fake handoff going up the middle for a nice conversion there. And here we're looking, Gegg looks into the end zone and a touchdown reception by Austin Bullock. He had a big night for the Dragons here. And again, Bullock going to find the sideline for a big gain. Looks like he might have a chance for the end zone, gets cut off, and then a fumble forced by the Bearcats. And a great play there by the Bearcats to force the turnover. And into the second quarter here, switching sides, looking downfield on a 3rd and long, intercepted pass by the Dragons. And we see here we got Bryce Trollinger with a nice reception. And we see here, I think that was Boyer going into the end zone for the Dragons for a score. And here a nice run and a touchdown run by Boyer, taking that one in for the Dragons here. Nice defense by the Dragons getting into the backfield of the Bearcats. And here a nice aired out pass for a touchdown as the Dragons really aired it out and had a big night offensively, especially in the passing game. And we see a nice conversion there. And Gegg going to run for the first down there. Gegg looking out right, getting a nice first down reception in the flat there for St. Genevieve. And we see here St. Genevieve driving once again, getting inside their 10-yard line, and then looking at a nice interception. Ryan Collier picking off that pass right at the goal line, keeping the Dragons out of the end zone. And we see here a deep sack by St. Genevieve, pushing the Bearcats out of a chance of a first down. And here the last score for the Dragons. Nice setup play there as it's run in for the touchdown. So as you see there, just a great offensive night for the Dragons. Excuse me. I think they have nearly 500 yards, 477 yards on the night. And Dexter really struggled offensively, only 19 yards of offense. Just unable to get anything going. A lot of negative plays, putting them in third and longs pretty much most of the night. A very good St. Gen defense really got into the backfield, created havoc for quarterback Hayden Hillis, and just couldn't able to, the Bearcats just wasn't able to get anything going offensively to really, you got to move the ball. You got to move the ball up the field, make St. Genevieve drive some long, go with the long drive, which they did plenty of times last night. But St. Genevieve, they're back and awful strong, especially with the passing game. We'll talk more about that in our next segment, talking about some of these games. But look out for St. Gen. It looks like they're back, and we're going to hold them down for long. I know they had a down year last year, but they come back with some talent. This Bryce Trollinger, Logan Gegg at quarterback. We saw him be able to air it out. Aiden Boyer. And also it's Austin Bullock, main running back there for the Dragons. So look out. They're awful tough once again this year, and that's pretty much what you expect out of the St. Genevieve Dragons each year. And moving on to some other games from the area last night. Taking a look at those, we've got Charleston over Portageville big. We were down for that, intended to bring that live last night, just unable to. We tried to try a different method down there in Portageville and did not succeed. So those looking to watch that game last night, we apologize. Just unable to get that going last night from Portageville. But we will have it to replay, and we'll have it uploaded over the weekend to our website at yhctv.com, and also look for that on our YouTube page as well. But Charleston getting a big win last night, 48-8. Charleston's a program on the rise. They really had a good year last year, coming off one of their best seasons in many years. Looking to duplicate that once again this year, getting a big win over the Portageville Bulldogs, and we'll have that replaying as well. We'll have that replaying Sunday at 6, and then again Tuesday at 6 as well. So look forward to that replay Sunday evening right here on YHC. And take a look at another game. We've got Cabool and Doniphan. Cabool with a big win over the Doniphan Dons. Doniphan only be able to put up a safety on the evening for points against Cabool. Cabool won one of the tough Class 1 programs, and getting a big win over the Doniphan Dons last night. Also, we've got Crothersville over Miller Career Academy. Big 50-12. Look out for the Crothersville Tigers. They're back. It looks like they've taken a bit of a dip over the last couple years. What we've seen in years past, a bit of a dip. They're still getting 6 or 7 wins on the board for the season, but looks like they're coming back with a very strong nucleus this year and got a big win over Miller Career Academy last night. So probably one of the tougher teams, if not the toughest team in the Boot Hill so far this year, the Crothersville Tigers. Also, we got Country Day. It's out of St. Louis. Country Day MICDS over Poplar Bluff. Poplar Bluff getting a narrow loss last night, 34-27. Excuse me. Yeah, 34-27. The Poplar Bluff Mules take a loss last night. So, we'll be taking a look at the Poplar Bluff Mules quite a bit this year as well. So, Poplar Bluff taking a narrow loss to Country Day out of St. Louis last night. Neumatic County Central over Malden. This is one matchup where Malden has dominated this series. They always open up with each other on the year, and Malden's dominated that for years. And Neumatic County Central finally getting some wins against Malden. I think they got the win last year against Malden, and got a win last night as well. Big one, 65-18, Neumatic County Central over Malden. Neumatic, one of those teams that's they've had quite a stretch of tough seasons. Maybe they can get a bounce back year this year, and maybe fight for a winning record for this season. We'll see, but it looks like Neumatic off to a nice start with a big victory over Malden last night. Also, we got Thayer over Hayti. Big Class 1 clash last night, and Thayer getting an impressive victory over Hayti, 30-12. Hayti coming off their state championship last year, and Thayer, always a tough Class 1 program there in Thayer, but Hayti's gotten the best of them over the last number of years, especially going back to last year. But Thayer bouncing back with a nice team this year, getting that victory over Hayti. Hayti was still expected to bring back a pretty strong nucleus this year, even though they graduated a lot of seniors last year. Very talented class, of course, with the state championship run. But looking back to bring back a competitive team once again this year, and Thayer coming back with a strong season and getting the victory over Hayti. So that's one matchup to look forward to later on in the year. That Class 1 district's always been tough here in southeast Missouri. You got Thayer, Hayti, and Valley Catholic there in the mix. So, no telling what's going to happen in that district this year in Class 1 District 1 with that victory last night for Thayer. This could be seeding matchups as well. This game right here could have an impact on the seeding come district tournament time with Thayer and Hayti. Those head-to-head matchups are big when it comes down to the points. If these two teams are, say at 1-2 or 2-3 in the standings come the end of the year, that head-to-head matchup and victory for Thayer could come up big in the district alignments come district tournament time. So we'll see what happens there. But Hayti, we'll see what happens there. Didn't really hear anything much on that game. What come into that game with the 30-12 victory for Thayer. But I tell you that Class 1 District 1 is going to be awful tough there with Thayer, Hayti, and Valley Catholic. You got to look out for Kabul as well. They're there in the Class 1 District as well. So that's going to be a fun district to look at this year, as it typically always is. But Hayti just rolling through that didn't make it near as interesting as it usually is there in that Class 1 District 1. But we looking forward to seeing how that plays out this year. Kennett Fredericktown. Kennett coming off a great season last year, a quarterfinal appearance in the Class 3 state tournament, coming back with a strong nucleus this year and got a big victory against Fredericktown. They've dominated that series over the last number of years, and no different last night as Kennett on the road against Fredericktown, getting a big victory, 49-0, and a balanced attack. No one just really leaped off the chart in the statistics last night. It was just a balanced attack across the board. They got a strong nucleus of running backs this year, not just depending on one. I know Marcavon Harold back for the Kennett Indians, but they're looking to get some other backs in the mix. A lot of young talent on this Kennett team that come up from last year. They had some freshmen even starting and playing some big minutes for the Indians last year. Going to be stepping up as sophomores and even juniors this year. And Bodie Ellis, sophomore quarterback last year, is a junior this year with some experience. So he's going to be able to make things happen from the quarterback position as well. So look out for a very balanced Kennett team this year with a lot of young talent. They can spread the ball around and spread the carries out among, I think, at least two or three running backs. So look out for the Indians for another strong season once again this year. Scott City over Grandview. Big win for them, 49-0 for the Scott City Rams. Kelly over East Prairie, 21-18 in a close one there. Kelly getting their first victory over East Prairie in their program's history. I think that program's only about a handful of years old now for the Kelly Hawks. Jackson over Webster Groves. Big victory for them, 48-0. No problem for the Indians at the pit. Jackson, another one of those teams, probably the strongest among the big schools coming into this year in southeast Missouri. And look out for the Jackson Indians. They made a pretty good run last year. Got quite a bit of talent coming back this year. Cale Welker at quarterback had a great year last year. Also, Luke Swarzinger coming off an injury last year, missed last year's season, a big back for the Jackson Indians. He had a couple scores last night, and he's going to be a big weapon for the Indians as well for this season. So look for big things out of the Jackson Indians once again this year. And Sykeston over Vashon getting a nice home victory, at-home victory for the Bulldogs, 24-18 over the Vashon Wolverines, and a tough outing for Sykeston. They had 10 penalties on the night, and I believe upwards to 7 turnovers. So a tough outing for Sykeston, but credit to them for toughing out the win despite those turnovers and penalties, and a nice week 1 victory for the Bulldogs against Vashon. Valley Catholic over St. Vincent, another strong Valley Catholic team once again this year. Looks like 36-7. Valley Catholic getting that victory over St. Vincent in week 1. And so we got Cape Central over North County, 28-14. Cape Central getting a week 1 victory over North County. Had a struggling year last year for Cape Central. Looks like they can bounce back with some momentum in week 1 here with a victory over North County for the Cape Central Tigers. And speaking of those games that we did last night, we broadcast that St. Genevieve-Dexter game live last night here on YHC. You can watch that replay today here Saturday at noon and also Sunday afternoon at 3. Look forward to that replay of St. Genevieve and Dexter. And you can watch it on demand at any time now on our Facebook page or our YouTube page. And we'll have that on our website as well at yhctv.com. So you can watch that on demand on our online platforms anytime. But we'll replay here on YHC today, Saturday noon, and Sunday afternoon at 3. And that Charleston and Portersville broadcast, we intended to bring that live last night. Apologize for that. We tried to try a different method last night for Portersville and did not have success. So we'll have it good to go going forward, but last night just weren't able to pull that off. Charleston and Portersville, you can watch that replay here on YHC Sunday evening at 6 p.m. and then again Tuesday at 6. And we'll have that uploaded to yhctv.com over the weekend where you can watch it there as well, and our YouTube page too. So look forward to that Charleston and Portersville replay from Friday here on YHC. And we're going to take our first break, and we're going to come back and talk about the kind of the headlines from last night, and also take a look at our broadcast schedule, the games that we'll be airing here on YHC throughout the year going forward. And we're going to take a break and be right back. Don't go away. And welcome back, and take a look at some of the headlines from the area last night. After some of these games, St. Genevieve, their air attack was big in Dexter in that victory. And Logan Gegg, quarterback for the Dragons, had 267 passing yards on the night. And for at the high school level, anything over 200 yards is a pretty good passing performance. And Gegg had a big one last night, 267 yards in the air, and actually could have had even more, despite even the great performance in the passing category as well as the receiving category. They had at least 2 dropped touchdown passes that were probably 50 yards plus in those plays, and I think a couple of those receivers for Dragons dropped some passes right in the basket with no defender really able to keep them from a touchdown if the reception was completed. But Gegg could have easily had over 300 yards last night, pending a few drop passes in that game. So Logan Gegg really showed it, really in the passing game last night. Had a great outing, and look forward to him. He's one of the best quarterbacks probably in the area here in Southeast Missouri going forward. So I had a big night last night. Also worth noting on the receiving end, Bryce Trollinger had a nice night receiving, but notably it was Austin Bullock had a big night. I think he had 160 yard, maybe 147. I think it was 147. I think it was 147 receiving yards on the night by Austin Bullock for the Dragons. So, he put up a nice night receiving as well. Also running the ball. So, those two, Gegg and Bullock, had big nights for the Dragons last night. And Kennett, a dominating win for the Kennett Indians over Fredericktown, 49-0. And, Kennett's really dominated that Fredericktown series for the last few years, and no different last night. Balanced attack, as I mentioned. I think their high performer was Marcavon Harrell. Only had about 77 yards rushing, although he did have it on, I think, maybe a handful of carries. So he had a big yards per attempt statistic last night for Harrell. But like I said in the previous segment, they're really spreading the ball around. Got a handful of guys that can run the ball. So that's going to be key for the Indians, be able to spread the ball around. Limit the carries some of these guys are taking, especially Harrell. Harrell carried the ball quite a bit last year, and being able to spread those carries out and still perform in the running game at a consistent high level is going to be big for the Indians. They're going to be strong on the run, and Bodie Ellis got the big play capability. Didn't really have any, I think he only had about 4 attempts for maybe a few yards last night. Didn't really go to the air. And why go to the air when you can stick it to the ground game and just pump it downfield, which they did last night against the Fredericktown Black Cats. So look out for the Indians. They had a big year last year. Did lose some players, notably Lemons. I think they lost. Golly, these kids are getting away from me from a whole year ago. But Lemons was their all-state defensive tackle that they lost, but they still bring a really strong nucleus and a lot of experience. These young underclassmen had varsity experience last year, and they're going to be bringing back a very strong nucleus with some experience even in the underclassmen coming back this year. And there's Bodie Ellis. He took over last year at quarterback and finished the year, last half of the year at quarterback as a sophomore, coming back as a junior this year, and really showed some promise at the quarterback position. So Coach Joe White, he's got a lot of balanced. He's got a balanced roster this year to work with, and looking forward to seeing the Kennett Indians this year. We'll talk about the games we'll be heading for down there in Kennett starting next week. We'll be talking about that one here in just a moment. So Kennett with a strong victory last night. Looking forward to their season this year. Excuse me. We mentioned New Madrid County Central rolling over Malden 65-18, and that rivalry kind of goes back and forth. In about 4 or 5 year stretches, it seems like. New Madrid had its way with Malden years ago, but man, going back probably 7-8 years, Malden's really dominated that series for about 6 or 7 years. And going back to last year, New Madrid finally got a win over Malden. Was last year, I believe, and then big win last night over Malden. So New Madrid trying to get their program back to where it traditionally is, but it's been a tough handful of years for the Eagles, and it looks like opening up with some momentum last night over Malden. And Malden, they had one of the best stretches we've seen in high school football here in Southeast Missouri, and especially the Boot Heel up until a couple years ago. But last year they really had a difficult year, winning 2 games, and it's just the way it is. The rosters and the cycles of kids coming through. When you hit a high wave like that, you ride it till it dies, and it's a great stretch for the Green Wave. But it's just a stretch here where you just run into in high school sports. It's inevitable. It's just a matter of when you just hit a stretch where you don't have quite the talent to go across the board. So Malden still sticking tough. Coach Peden down there. Justin Peden, first-time coach. It wasn't Dexter here previously. Went to Malden as an assistant for a number of years, and now into the head coaching position. And he's certainly going to look for a week 2 bounce back next week. Going to be a tough one against Crothersville, which we saw Crothersville big win over Miller Career Academy. Looks like Crothersville's back on the map as one of the top teams, if not the toughest team in the Boot Heel here in southeast Missouri. So it doesn't get any easier. Actually gets harder for the Green Wave going forward in week 2 next week. They do host the Crothersville Tigers at home at the Swamp next week, but not any easier. Likely much tougher next week against the Tigers. And we talked about Jackson. Jackson, a big win last night over Webster Groves, no problem. At the Pit, one of the best places to watch a high school football game. They're at the Pit in Jackson, and a lot of experience coming back on this team. Kel Welker, probably the best quarterback in the area, had a big year last year, and did graduate one of his top targets last year. But he does have Luke Swarzinger coming back. They've got a great comeback player there. He broke his foot, I believe it was, just before the season last year, and he was out and back healthy this year, and had a big night last night, a couple scores. So look out for Swarzinger having a big impact for the Jackson Indians team this year. And, of course, Kel Welker at quarterback, coming off the big year he had last year. Jackson Indians could make a great run, and we'll talk more about that as they are in the state rankings for Class 5 in the state of Missouri. We'll touch on that in a bit as well. All right, we're going to take another break real quick, and we're going to come back with our high school football broadcast schedule. We'll take a look at the games we've got next week and throughout the rest of the year that you can look forward to here on YHC. So we're going to come back with that coming up.
Toyota National Clearance Event.
Hey folks, it's hot out here, but the deals are even hotter. Like this late model Equinox starting under $300 per month, or a Ford Focus starting $149 per month, or several pre-owned Ford Escapes under $200 per month. Baldwin Ford Lincoln Toyota, home of the lifetime warranty.
Toyota National Clearance Event is going on now with great deals like a 19 Highlander, save over $5,700, a 19 RAV4 under $26,000. A 19 Camry, just over $23,000. Baldwin Toyota, home of the lifetime warranty.
And welcome back, and now we're going to take a look at our broadcast schedule here on YHC to look forward to throughout this year, and take a look at the games we've got coming up. Last night we had St. Genevieve-Dexter, Charleston, and Portageville. Looking forward to next Friday night. We've got Gosnell traveling to take on the Kennett Indians at Metz-Cherry Stadium in Kennett next week, and we will bring that live here on Channel 21, also on our website at YHCTV.com and Facebook Live. So look forward to that broadcast next Friday night. That could be a big one, as Gosnell's got the best of Kennett over the last couple of years, and that was the only loss for Kennett in the regular season. So Kennett run the table in Missouri in the regular season, but Gosnell gave the Indians their only loss in the regular season in last year. So look forward to that game next week. That could be one of the best games we have all year long here on YHC. Should be a good one, and we'll bring that to you from Kennett next Friday night. Also, we'll be back in Portageville, Grandview out of Hillsboro at Portageville, and we will have that one live on the website next week. Sorry about that one last night, not able to get that up. But Grandview at Portageville will be live on the website at YHCTV.com next Friday night. And the following Friday night, the 13th, September 13th, we got New Matter County Central at Dexter. That's a CMO Conference, and CMO Conference game there. New Matter County Central at Dexter. Well, that'll be live here on Channel 21. YHCTV.com and Facebook Live. And also we'll have the home opener for the Piggott Mohawks. They host Brookland out of the Jonesboro area, and that'll be the Piggott Mohawk opener down in Arkansas, and that'll be live on the website at YHCTV.com. September 20th, we've got Chaffee at Portageville. That'll be live right here on Channel 21. That'll be a live cable TV broadcast, as well as at YHCTV.com and Facebook Live. That's always a close one there between those two, Chaffee and Portageville. And moving ahead to the 27th, North County at Kennett. That'll be live on Channel 21, also on the website and Facebook Live. Crothersville at Portageville will be live on the website at YHCTV.com. Boot Hill matchup there between those two. And into October on the 4th, Crothersville at Dexter. That'll be live here on Channel 21, YHCTV.com, and Facebook Live, a CMO Conference matchup. Harrisburg at Piggott. That'll be live on the website. And also New Matter County Central at Kennett. And that'll be on the website as well. That's a tri-cast that evening. All games will be available to watch on our website at YHCTV.com. But you can only one game will be on Channel 21 that evening, as always, and that'll be the Crothersville and Dexter game. So look forward to that tri-cast there on October 4th. Then October 11th, Dexter at Kennett, and always a big matchup there between those two, and that'll be live on Channel 21, YHCTV.com, and Facebook Live. Walnut Ridge at Piggott that evening as well. That's on the website at YHCTV.com. And skipping ahead, we don't have a broadcast on the 18th. Just didn't have any teams at home there with Dexter, Kennett, Piggott, and Portageville. So we're skipping the 18th with no broadcast that evening. And to the 25th, Malden at Dexter, Highway 25 rivalry there. And that'll be on 21, YHCTV.com, and Facebook Live. And Osceola at Piggott, big 3A3 matchup there for the Piggott Mohawks. That'll be live on the website there on the 26th. And that's the last game of the regular season there on October 26th. And, of course, we'll be getting into the postseason with district play, depending on who advances. I know Kennett had a great run last year and got a good chance to do that once again this year, so we'll just see what happens when it comes to the postseason. But we typically follow quite a few teams here in the Boot Heel and Southeast Missouri if they advance on in district play. So there you go. Quite a few games this year, and just take note that all of these games that we do, they are available to watch live. Every one of them on our website at YHCTV.com. You can watch every game that we broadcast, with the exception of the Charleston-Portersville game last night, but we should look to rectify that going forward. But all these games, you can watch live on the website at YHCTV.com, but only one game can be on TV at a time, of course. So we have selected, as we showed there, one game each week to be on Channel 21 here on New Wave, live each week. And typically the game that's televised will be on Facebook Live as well. So just to try to navigate our schedule there and what to look for each week here on YHC and online at YHCTV.com. All right, we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back and look at some state rankings for the State of Missouri preseason football state rankings. We're going to come back with that coming up.
At Glenn Sane, we realize it can be very confusing when buying an automobile. Things have changed as many years as I've been in this business as a dealer. We have dealer websites with all kinds of pricing, with disclosures at the bottom that most customers don't qualify for. All we ask, before you buy, come and see us. Let us explain exactly what we're doing. At Glenn Sane, that's what we do. No one appreciates your business more than our families do. Best price, best service. Glenn Sane, and God bless our troops.
And welcome back. Now let's take a look at some state rankings for the State of Missouri in high school football. These are preseason, just based on last year's teams coming back this year. So nothing really to put into these polls other than just speculation based on last year coming into this season. So taking a look at the Class 1 state rankings coming in to this week 1. And of course these do not reflect last night's games in the area. Class 1 state rankings, Lincoln on top with number 1. They were the runner-up to the Hayti Indians last year, and that was a shutout victory, 50-plus points to nothing for the Hayti Indians. So the runner-up from last year's state championship team comes in at number 1, and the state championship team from last year, of course, the Hayti Indians at number 2. So the top 2 teams from last year in the state championship game are 1 and 2 there, but the runner-up at number 1, the champion Hayti at number 2. And of course, Hayti had one of the most memorable runs in Southeast Missouri high school football history last year, 15-0, and run the table, and really no one come close to defeating the Hayti Indians. And they come in at number 2 in the preseason rankings this year. Did take a loss last night to Thayer, as we see down the way there. So probably going to be some adjustments in those state rankings after week 1 here in Class 1. So Pierce City at number 3, coming off a 10-1 season. 4, Western, who Hayti defeated in the semifinals last year heavily, and Western's there at number 4. Mid-Buchanan at 5. 6, Valley Catholic there in the mix off a pretty good season, but fell to the Hayti Indians. Actually, the Hayti Indians beat them, I think it was 21-7 or 28-7. That was the closest anybody played Hayti last year. And Valley Catholic there at number 6, coming off a 9-3 season. At number 7, Marceline. 8, Adrian. 9, the Thayer Bobcats, coming off an 8-5 record last year, but a week 1 victory over Hayti, second-ranked team in Hayti. So look for Thayer to move up that poll, and Hayti likely to move down after that Thayer victory. At number 10, Hamilton Penny, coming off a 9-4 season. And the Class 2, Lutheran North on top at number 1. At 2, Cardinal Ritter. Cardinal Ritter at number 2, and Cardinal Ritter moving down in class. They were at Class 3 last year. They were the runner-up team in Class 3 behind Trinity Catholic. Big state championship game there in Class 3 last year. So Cardinal Ritter moves down in class to Class 2, and they got a lot of talent coming off last year. Their only loss to Trinity Catholic in the state championship game. And Cardinal Ritter, look out for them moving down in class, especially. Got one of the top quarterbacks in the state, and a lot of talent coming back for that Cardinal Ritter team. So Cardinal Ritter does move down in class to Class 2, and at number 2 in the preseason poll. 3, Maryville. 4, Lathrop. 5, Lamar. Lamar snapping, I think, their 6th straight state championship run last year, and had a 12-2 record. And they fell out, I think, in the quarterfinal round in the state tournament last year. So Lamar looking to get back to their winning ways, I guess you would say, even though coming off a 12-2 record, but looking to get back in that state championship game this year. Lamar at number 5. It's been a long time since we've shown Lamar anything other than number 1 each year. It's preseason number 1. They, finished number 1 in the final poll, and that's what happens when you win pretty much 6 years straight with state championships. But it's just a little strange looking at Lamar there at number 5. It is just a little strange. At number 6, Clark County. 7, Monroe City. 8, Ava. 9, Lawson, and a 2-way tie for 10th at Palmyra and Versailles. And taking a look at Class 3. Class 3, Trinity Catholic, the defending Class 3 state champion there at number 1. 2, Blair Oaks. 3, Mount Vernon. 4, Odessa. 5, St. Charles West. 6, Southern Boone County. 7, St. Francis Borgia. 8, Cassville. 9, Booneville, and a 2-way tie for 10th, the Kennett Indians and Savannah. So Kennett getting some love in the poll coming off last year, made a quarterfinal appearance, dropping out to Cardinal Ritter. So Kennett getting some nice recognition there in the preseason poll at number 10 for Class 3. And in Class 4, Ladue out of St. Louis at number 1, coming off an undefeated and state championship run last year at number 1. 2, Webb City. Webb City is always there in the mix. In Class 4, they had a run of state championships, a lot like Lamar. I think they got up there around 5, 6, maybe even 7 in a row. And a couple years ago, they fell off and didn't quite make it last year to a state championship run. But they're with another strong year, 13-1 last year. And they're at number 2 in this preseason poll. 3, Camden. 4, Platte County. 5, Country Day. 6, Kearney. 7, St. Mary's. 8, West Plains. 9, Lebanon. And there was a 2-way tie for 10th, but Smithville there at number 10. And in Class 5, Fort Zumwalt North at number 1. 2, Carthage. 3, Eureka. 4, Raytown. 5, Vianney. 6, Staley. 7, Battle. 8, Fort Osage. 9, the Jackson Indians, only 1 loss coming in the state tournament. And I think that was to Vianney. And number 10, Chaminade. So the Jackson Indians there in the top 10 once again in the preseason at number 9. And they always run into Vianney, and boy, the points they put up on both sides. I think it was last year, the year before, it was a 70-something to 50-something final score. Wow, I mean, to score 50-plus points and lose by 20 points, that's just incredible. It's just type of games they've had over the last couple of years there between Vianney and Jackson. So there's your preseason polls for the state of Missouri. Seeing quite a few teams there in the mix. And here in southeast Missouri, there in the top 10, Thayer, Haytide, Valley Catholic. There, as we mentioned the first segment, in Class 1, District 1, all the teams in District 1 should be interesting once again this year. And in Class 2, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Crothersville crack that top 10. I know not getting any love from last year's team, which they didn't make a run last year, a deep run anyways. So I would look for Crothersville to possibly crack that top 10 poll here in the next couple of weeks with the big wins that they're able to put on the board. And Class 3, Kennett getting some recognition there at 10. And, of course, at number 5, the Jackson Indians at number 9. So we'll see what happens. But looks like it's an exciting year ahead, and we'll be looking forward to bringing you many football games, and not only football but basketball once we get into that in December. So the season's upon us now. We're here and ready to go here at YHC. We bring you upwards to 80 broadcasts each year, football and basketball combined. And ready to go once again. It seemed like we just ended basketball just a few months ago, and it's here. It comes quick. It's a quick off season. Mid-March to August, late August comes quick, and it's here. And hopefully you'll join us for the rest of the way throughout the season. And football, of course, here first. And we'll talk more about for the first one, we just wanted to really highlight the high school football ranks, but we will keep an eye on Arkansas State, Southeast Missouri State going forward, and their matchup each weekend. But big win Thursday. SEMO got a nice win over Southern Illinois in the War of the Wheel rivalry between those two. A nice victory for the Red Hawks on Thursday night at Hawk Stadium. Big turnout for that. Good to see that. And that SEMO program on the rise. They made it to the national tournament. Actually got a national tournament victory in the first round last year to over Stony Brook, and took a loss out to Weber State out in, Idaho out there, I think. But, SEMO putting together a nice season last year, looking to duplicate that this year, maybe do even better. And A-State's had a great run and didn't quite make it there in the Sun Belt last year, but they've had a great run the last handful of years, and we'll be keeping an eye on them as well, and probably even the Missouri and Arkansas teams as well going forward. So it's all high school football this week. We'll be getting into other fall sports. Volleyball got underway. I think they mainly get underway this next week in the area. So we'll be looking at some girls volleyball, soccer. Take a look at those scores: soccer, volleyball, fall baseball, and fall softball as well. So that'll be coming this week as well. So that's going to wrap up this week's Roundtable. Glad you joined us for the first episode. We'll be back each Saturday throughout the school year, and hopefully you'll join us each Saturday live at 10 a.m. right here on YHC for the Sports Roundtable each week. So that's going to do it for today, and until next week, have a great week and take care, everyone.